Hello, my lovelies. It's Susanna, and today I want to show you two examples on how to convert a hexadecimal number into a decimal number, and then two examples on how to do it the other way around. Let's start with our first example here. Calculate the decimal value of the following hexadecimal number. We have the number 1b3 and all of this to base 16. 16 because hexa means 6, decimal means 10, and these two together are our base 16. And we can see in our number here, in our hexadecimal number, that we not only have numbers like 1 and 3, but also this letter B here. And the hexadecimal system consists of the numbers 0 up to 9, as we know it from our decimal system. But in addition to these numbers, we also have the letters A, B, C, D, E, and F. And to be able to calculate something with these letters, they correspond to numbers. So we come from the 0 up to 9, and then my A is a 10, my B is 11, then we have 12, and up to 15. Okay, we keep this in mind, and now we want to convert our number here. We take our number and write it down again, just with a little bit more space in between. Then we always start at the end and we multiply this number by our base, so by 16 to the power of 0 first. Then we go here to the next spot and multiply by 16 to the power of 1 this time. Then we multiply by 16 to the power of 2, and if you have more elements, you would multiply by 16 to the power of 3, and so on. Okay, let's multiply. 3 times 16 to the power of 0. Something to the power of 0 is always equal to 1. So I have 3 times 1 here, which equals 3. Then b times 16 to the power of 1. First of all, to the power of 1, I don't have to write that down at all, so it is just 16. But what is my b? Well, we did some work already. We know that b is 11. So instead of my b, I'm going to write down in 11 so that I can do the calculation now. 11 times 16 equals 176. Usually you are allowed to use your calculator when you convert these numbers, so you don't have to do all of this in your head. And then we have 1 times 16 squared, which equals 256. Now that we have all these results, we only have to add them. We get a result of 435, and this is our decimal number, so you can write down a base 10 if you want to, and we converted our hexadecimal number into a decimal number. Let's take a look at our second example here. Same thing. Calculate the decimal value of the following hexadecimal number. Okay, we already have our table here in mind. We take our hexadecimal number and write it down again with a little bit more space in between. And we start at the end by multiplying by 16 to the power of 0, then 16 to the power of 1, then 16 to the power of 2, and so on. This time we have a to the power of 3. Let's multiply. F. What is F? Well, it is 15. So instead of my F, I'm going to write down 15. 15 times 16 to the power of 0 is just 15. 4 times 16 to the power of 1 is equal to 64. A, we cannot do calculations with letters, so we have to replace A by its value, by 10. So instead of A, I'm going to write down a 10. Now I can calculate this, and I get 2,560. And if I multiply these two numbers, I get 8,192. Now that we have all our results, we are going to add these numbers, and in total, we get 10,831 as our decimal number. But I promise you to show you the other way around, which is completely different, where we want to convert the decimal number into a hexadecimal number. So this time we have a normal 61 here in our decimal system, and we want to convert this number into a hexadecimal number. And to be able to do this, we need this 16 to the power of 0 again, and 16 to the power of 1, 16 to the power of 2, and so on. The question just is, how many of these elements do I actually need? This all depends on how large your number is. We work with the 61, so if we start calculating our elements, let's start here with the smallest. 16 to the power of 0 equals 1. The 1 is pretty small, definitely smaller than the 61, so we keep going. 16 to the power of 1 is equal to 16, is still smaller than the 61, so we keep going. 16 to the power of 2, though, is 256. This is the first number that is greater than our number here, so we stop here. We are not allowed to use this number, it's just too large. And we also don't need any other larger numbers. We only work with the 16 and the 1. And we start using the larger of these two numbers here. So always with the largest number in your row, that is where you start your calculations. And now we take our number, the 61, and ask ourselves, how often does the 16 go into the 61? You can also use a calculator, so you can take the 61 divided by 16, which gives you a result of 3 point something. We only need the whole number, so we know the 16 goes 3 times, so we write down the 3 here, into the 61. And now, after you found your result, you always multiply these two numbers. So 3 times 16 equals 48. You write it down here and subtract these two numbers. 61 minus 48 equals 13. Now we have a new number, and we repeat all these steps with our next smaller number here. So we take the 13 divided by 1, which gives us just 13. So the 1 goes into the 13 times. Then we always multiply these two numbers. 13 times 1 equals 13. We write it down here. Subtract, which gives us 0, which is perfect because then we know we are done. And this is our result. The problem just is we have a 13 in here, and this is not a digit in our hexadecimal system. We have the digits from 0 up to 9, but then we have the letters A, B, C, D, E, and F. And where's my 13 here? I have 10, 11, 12, 13 is my D, so I have to replace the 13 here by my D, so that in total 3D is my hexadecimal number. Let's try it with our last example here. Convert the decimal number into a hexadecimal number. 3,171 is our decimal number, pretty large this time, but we start with 16 to the power of 0 again, and so on. But because our number is larger this time, we will probably need some more elements, so let's calculate them. 16 to the power of 0 is 1. Then we have 16 here. We have 256, which is still smaller than this number. Here we have 4096. Okay, this number is already greater than this one, so we know that we have to stop here. We don't need any more elements, and we only use these elements here. We start with the largest of these elements, so with the 256. We take our 3171 and divide this number by 256, which gives us 12 point something. So we only take the 12, write it down here. And now we always multiply these two numbers, which gives us 3072, and we subtract these two numbers. If we do that, we get a result of 99. This is our new number, and now we do the same calculations with the next smaller number in line with the 16. We take the 99 divided by 16, which gives us something 6 point something. So we take the 6, write it down here, and multiply these two numbers again, which equals 96. We subtract, get a result of 3, and we do the same calculations with the next smaller number. The one is always pretty nice. 3 divided by 1 just equals 3, and we multiply one last time, which gives us 3, and then we are done because we get a 0 here. This is our number, kind of, because we have a 12 in here that is too large. So we know that A was 10, B was 11, and C is the 12. So let's replace the 12 by a C, and this is our result. I hope you know now how to convert these numbers. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. I wish you a wonderful day, and I hope to see you in one of my next videos. Take care!